What's up, guys? It's Ghost Stories Gaming, and today we're doing a tier list of the Marvel Rivals Ultimates, and this is going to be coming from the perspective of an average Andy. I'm not a professional streamer. I'm not a full-time streamer or content creator. I've never been a professional at any level. I'm not a top 500, top rank, whatever, but this is going to be coming from the perspective of a player in my skill range. Some days are better than others. Some days are worse than others, and someone who can dedicate about 10 to 20 hours of gaming per week. So the goal of this video is basically to find people who are in my skill range, to talk about it, see if we're thinking the same things. If some of us are hard stuck at a certain level, what should we actually be thinking about in terms of using ultimates? And the other side of it potentially could be for players of higher skill levels, or anyone who's doing tutorial videos, how-to videos, any kind of strategy or training for lower level players to grind up. Maybe this can potentially show you guys where our thinking is, what our thought process is. Let's jump into it. So I've got my little cheat sheet here to the left. I'm just going to read the description of each one as we go through. The first one up is going to be Adam Warlock. The ultimate is called Karmic Revival. Awaken the karma of allies to revive them. Allies revived have a lower health, but enjoy a brief period of invincibility. Basically, it's a mass res. And because of that, I think instantly Adam Warlock's ultimate goes into S tier. Revive the entire team. You can revive 1 to 2 people. Anything that'll change the turn of the fight. The only risk is when you come back from that revive, you are extremely low. Played a game a couple days ago. Adam Warlock revived the entire team as Penny Parker ulted and wiped everybody. So it was a total waste. You're gonna have to be smart and strategic about it, but a mass res is huge in any game. Adam Warlock S tier. Next up, we have Iron Fist, an extremely player dependent hero. The name of the ultimate is Living Chi. Become Living Chi to boost speed, damage, attack range, delivering stronger punches while reducing the cooldown of Dragon's defense. Basically, you pop ult and all of your abilities and cooldowns get better. You do more damage, you have more speed, and you're reducing cooldowns of your other abilities. This is an extremely player dependent ultimate. In the interest of keeping these tier lanes filled up somewhat evenly, so there's not too many at the top or the bottom, I would put Iron Fist's ult, because of how player dependent it is, as like a B tier ult. In the right hands, he's moving up to A, and I'm not going to give him the S tier. In the wrong hands, it's a C, or even lower than that. Iron Fist to me is one of those characters. It's too player dependent. You know, a beginner can't just pick up this game and be good with Iron Fist. It's going to take some practice, some game sense, some game knowledge. So I'm going to put Iron Fist at B. Next up, we have Iron Man. Iron Man's ult, Invincible Pulse Cannon. Fire a devastating pulse cannon in the targeted direction, delivering a catastrophic damage to the target area upon impact. So you fire the missile, or you fire the cannon in a direction, and if you're not paying attention, or if you don't have any counters to it, it's just gonna eliminate everyone in that space. For me, I'm gonna put Iron Man's ult in A. Here's why. I think Iron Man, if you can be a little bit sneaky, I think his ult can be incredibly useful. So if you can be a little bit sneaky as an Iron Man, and it's much easier to move around than, say, an Iron Fist, you can get behind enemy lines. You can try to even just getting one support. A lot of people are going to be going for those big clips, 4+ enemies eliminated with this. But if you're truly competing and trying to win, I think if you can get 1 to 2 kills in a backline, that puts Iron Man's ult in A tier. You can fire it through Strange's portal. You can fire it up close. You can fire it far away. If anything, you can get people to displace, because once they hear that, everyone stops what they're doing and gets the hell out of it. Next up is everybody's favorite character in the game, Jeff the Land Shark. Jeff's ultimate, called It's Jeff. Deep dive into the scene and resurface to swallow both enemies and allies within range, activating hide and seek for a brief duration before ejecting the swallowed heroes forward. Basically, he goes underground. He creates this big circle, area of effect, and will swallow all the players inside, including allies. So you can save your allies, you can grab a bunch of enemies, and the move is to swim to the edge of the map and spit them off. Now, when this game first came out, especially the beta, no one knew how to deal with it. Jeff's ult was a huge pain. It was a huge pain. It won games every single time. Nobody knew how to deal with it. Now, because of just like Jeff as a character, I don't think Jeff is all that strong as a hero overall. His ult can definitely win and lose games at certain levels. I would imagine that people much higher ranked than me, he's not going to be really used that often, at least used effectively. People know how to deal with it at this point. So I'm going to put Jeff as a C tier ult. He's all of our favorite hero, but he's just not that good. Next up, we have Loki and Loki's ultimate God of Mischief, shapeshift into a targeted ally or enemy hero and use all their abilities except their team up abilities. This includes ultimates. Because of that, he instantly goes into S tier for me. You're copying any ult in the game. That's 2 Luna Snow ults. That's 2 Iron Man. You can just fire missile into missile. If you really want to troll, that's 2 Jeff ults. You can swallow the entire teams twice. That's 2 sets of Star-Lord's legendary. You can double heal, you can double damage, you can double tank. Think of your best alts and your favorite alts or your most oppressive alts that you can think of, and then just times it by 2. This is why Loki's ult is amazing, but not a lot of people play Loki. It's just not as often. Because Luna's so good, because Mantis is so good. And I think Cloak and Dagger, frankly, is just easier to use. Loki's just not, he's just not like loved universally, but his ult is S tier. His ult is on the same level as Adam Warlock's. A double ult is super powerful and will turn the tide of any team fight. All right, next up we have Luna Snow. Now Luna Snow's ultimate, Fate of Both Worlds, take center stage and start dancing. Press a toggle between 2 performances, heal allies, or grant them a damage boost. If you're on a scroll wheel on a mouse, you can toggle that a lot faster between the healing and the damage boost. As we all know where Luna lands. She's an S tier hero. She's an S tier hero with an S tier ultimate. Nothing's killing anybody inside of that Luna ultimate. Creates a giant circle. You're healing your allies. You're giving them a damage boost if you have the upper hand. She is an S tier hero with an S tier ultimate. No one's dying inside of that dance party. Next up, we have Magik, who is one of my favorite characters in the game and one I play the least because I'm just not good with her. And I don't know that I want to take the time to get good with her, but she's fun. She's super fun to use. I play her in quick play all the time. Magik is a really, really cool character. Her ultimate, Dark Child. Transform into Dark Child, gaining enhancement to all of your abilities. Similar to Iron Fist, you just get a boost on all of your abilities, doing more damage. Magik, again, is another player-dependent character. She's going to be excellent in the right hand. She's going to be very mediocre in the wrong hands. Now, I think Iron Fist is potentially a little harder to use than Magik. So my gut initially wants to throw her here in B tier, not as a hero, but just for her ultimate. Because as a hero, I think she, well, now that I think about it, it's just player dependent. That's why I'm afraid to put A, but I have to put her in B just to keep true to my word there. I don't think she's a B tier hero necessarily. I think she's probably at the high end B, closer to low end A, in my opinion. In the wrong hands, just Jeff status. In the right hands, you know, she's up here somewhere. So I have to put her in B, middle of the road, because it's just, she's player dependent. So her ult is only as strong as the hands controlling it. All right, next up we have Magneto, a tank I don't see that much. It's a lot of Strange, it's a lot of Hulk, it's a lot of Penny even. I feel like I don't see Magneto a whole lot, and I kind of get this vibe that like people get turned on because there's already a hero with a giant shield. So there's like, this one's just like a shield, but not as good. Magneto's ultimate is Meteor M. Draw in all materials around to forge an iron meteor. It deals massive damage upon impact. Absorbing enemy projectiles can enhance the meteor's power, yet overloading will cause it to self-destruct. I actually didn't know it self-destructed. I just learned that while reading Average Andy. But something a lot of people don't know about Magneto's ult is that it can absorb ults. For example, you can absorb all the rounds coming from Star-Lord's ultimate with Magneto. You know, as an offensive weapon, it doesn't feel like, it feels a little underwhelming, but I think that's on purpose because it can absorb enemy ultimates. So something that's probably not used and abused too often at like my rank or my level, because it's just easier to throw up a portal as Strange. It's easier to jump around as Hulk. So you're trying to like counter these ults in the right position, the right times. I would say because of the potential, put him in A. You can absorb ults. You can completely negate a legendary ult. No, I got to put him at B. Player dependent, because the better players get, the more they're just not going to shoot at Magneto. But he is there to be able to counter some ults as they happen, but you have to be quick. I'm going to put it at B. I'm going to say player dependent. Next up, we have Mantis. Mantis's ultimate is called Soul Resurgence. Release energy around her while moving, providing healing over time. Movement boosts for surrounding allies. Excess healing converts to bonus health. Very similar to Luna Snow. You have a big round area of effect that moves with you, and as Mantis, you're just passively faster than everybody else anyway. If you didn't know that, she runs really, really fast. I also think Mantis is an S tier hero. He's going to go to S as well because you're changing the tide of the fight. You're either saving everybody or making it so your team can't be eliminated in an offensive push. Mantis goes to S tier. I'm not putting her at the top of S tier, but because of the potential to sway a fight in a direction, preferably in your favor, and because of that, I think you have to throw her in S tier. And when you're ulting, it doesn't stop you from using your other abilities. You can be dishing out damage as you're healing everybody at the same time, so you can focus strictly on damage. You're boosting your team's damage in multiple ways. You're healing them over time. You can be putting people to sleep, all the while your AoE is healing your entire team at the same time. Next up is Moon Knight. Hand of Khonshu is his ultimate. Open a portal that allows Khonshu to bombard enemies with his talons. Basically, it's an AoE. You place that AoE, a big circle opens up, and these giant talon claw looking things come shooting out of the sky for a short period of time, doing a bunch of damage in the area. It's like not my favorite ults. Like you can sidestep and get out of the way. So the Moon Knight really has to be strategic of where he puts this because people can't avoid it relatively easily. You can drop your Ankh to suck people in and then drop the ult on top of it, or drop your ult and immediately throw an Ankh to the center of that ultimate. Now that'll do, with that combination, it's really strong. But if you like kind of throw it up as like a desperation thing, it's just not the best. I don't think his ult is as player dependent as like these three. I would say he's like top of B potentially, maybe A. Put him top of B for now because it's too easy to get out of. But it's too easy to get out of, and if you don't drop the Ankh in addition to the ult, you're reducing the chances you're going to have an effective play. That's my thought process. All right, up next is Namor or Namor, somewhere in between there. I'm sure I'll learn it eventually. Horn of Proteus. Summon Giganto. I didn't know the whale's name was Giganto. Summon Giganto to leap atop enemies within range, disabling their movement abilities. Basically, you drop ult. It's very similar to Moon Knight's. It's a big AoE. You blow your horn. You blow your horn, and this giant whale-looking creature falls out of the sky, hitting an AoE. You knock down anyone inside of it. So unlike Moon Knight's ult, you knock down all of the players within it, and there's this really short time where they have to basically stand up to get out of the ult. So I actually think this Namor is an A-rated put him ahead of Iron Man for now. Similar to Moon Knight, but there's no extra step that you have to take, and it gives so it disables all of the enemies' movement abilities, and you get this like 1 to 2 second window where your team can focus fire people inside of that ult because all the enemies that have been affected are stunned and on the ground. It actually sets up picks a little bit nicer, in my opinion, than Moon Knight. Next up, we have Black Panther. Summon Bast, pouncing forward, dealing damage, and attaching a Vibranium mark to enemies while refreshing Spirit Rend. Black Panther, for me, again, a dive hero, another character-dependent hero. In the right hands, an absolute menace. In the wrong hands, garbage. It's not my play style. I don't really like dive characters. I don't play Iron Fist. I only play Magic and Quick Play. Any other dive characters like Hulk. I don't play Hulk. I don't play Captain America. So for me, again, this is just one of those character dependent ults. I think probably a B tier, honestly, because it's so player dependent. And the ult is just setting up your further abilities. Whereas like Magic, all your abilities, no matter what order you use them in, they're all going to be buffed. Iron Fist, very similar. For Black Panther, you have to get the hits to reset your abilities, but the abilities are only good as the user. I just don't think it's that great of an ult. Again, if you're a beast, he's probably closer to A. If you're not, probably closer to Jeff. Next up, we have Penny Parker, one of my favorite tanks to use. I think she's really fun on defense. Spider Sweeper. Enhance the SP Doctor suit or the SP DR suit, launching up enemies in its path and deploying arachno mines, spider drones, and cyber webs. She gets all amped up. She's sprinting around, dropping webs, dropping mines. You can also do damage with her claws, like her back claw things. So you can take swipes with that, and you just run around the map. You cause chaos. You try to break up lanes or choke points because people will have to retreat or find safety off of your webs. I think it's an okay ult. You know what? Moon Knight's up there. I changed my mind. I think Moon Knight's an A. Because the potential. No. But Penny. Where does Penny go? I think Penny's ult is down here. Can't be crazy. Easily avoidable. She's vulnerable while she's running around. I don't think it's that. I think it could be annoying. I think it can get you through those choke points. I think it's an extra layer of like trying to break up the back line. If you just run straight at their back line, there's a lot of people that can just jump and get out of the way. I think Jeff's potential to wipe an entire enemy team is a lot higher than Penny's. I think all of these B-level characters have more potential to get picks or saves than Penny. So I'm going to put Penny's ult down here to C range. I think she has potential to get a lot of kills, be a menace and choke points. I just don't think her ult is like, it's game breaking. All right, next up we have Psylocke. Psylocke's ult, Dance of the Butterfly. Slash nearby enemies with a psionic katana, dealing massive damage. Psylocke's an A. Basically, this huge like pink cloud of butterflies and death spawns underneath you. You're inside the circle. She's going to kill you. She jumps around. It almost feels like she's teleporting from target to target, and you're just going to keep getting attacked, slashed unless you get out. And if you don't get out quickly, you're going to die. Here's why it's an A. Because she can stealth into an area. She could be invisible into an area to drop the ult. A lot of other ults, people see it coming. Psylocke can jump right into the center of your team and drop that A-level ult. Next up, we have Rocket Raccoon, whose ult is Sia. Deploy a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier that grants allies a damage boost. Basically, he drops one of his mechanics, drops one of his gadgets on the ground. You see these beams of light come from the top of the gadget and connect to your player model if you're standing close enough, and you get a damage boost. So he's going to drop that behind walls. It can be destroyed, but it's got quite a bit of health. Can't like stand out in the open too long to focus on it if you're also fighting the enemy team. Any damage boost is great. I kind of think his ult's better when paired up with his Q. So if you have your respawn armor pack ability out in addition to that, and this one's tough because it's not player dependent to be used. You don't have to do anything once it's dropped, and it does make your team a lot scarier to fight, but it's also about knowing when to use it. It's about knowing when to drop it. I think it's better than this. I think it's better than this. I think it's better than this. Better than Magneto's? No, because the potential here's. These are player dependent, so I put it below this. I think his ult is better than these two for sure. I think a solid B, because if you use it correctly, you're changing the fight. If you use it at the wrong time, it's just a total waste. So I think he belongs right in there. Next up, we have Scarlet Witch, who, when the beta came out, everyone thought was like beast. And the longer we've played, the more we've figured out how to deal with her. Her ultimate, Reality Erasure. Engage in free flight while charging energy, then unleash it to deal massive damage. Scarlet Witch is a great hero for farming clips. Scarlet Witch is a great hero for posting stuff on Instagram. Cool TikTok videos. You know, doing it. If Jeff spits everyone in the air as she's doing her ult, you're just a giant living bomb. The effect is great if you can catch people. The longer people have played, when they hear her call out, they look to her immediately. So for her ult, I'm actually going to put it close to here because she can be killed out of it. Whereas like Jeff's, you can't really. Penny's can cause a little more. You just have to get the kill. So you either get it or you don't, and you're slow and it takes a long time to charge up. And you're exposed, and you have to get real close to people to be able to do it. Your ult is easily countered even by Penny. So I'm gonna put her ult in D tier. You're a living bomb. The effect is cool. It sounds cool. When you get the kills, it's awesome. I think her weakness as a hero also affects this rating, but I'm gonna put her at D tier. Next up, we have Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man's ultimate, Spectacular Spin. Launch web clusters all around to damage and stun enemies. Spider-Man's a player-dependent player. Spider-Man is a player-dependent player, which means I think he's better than. I'm gonna put him over here because to make this an effective ult, you have to be able to effectively swing in, land where you want to launch this ult. It's just click a button and get kills, but it takes an amount of skill to time it, to be able to play Spider-Man, and then to play Spider-Man effectively. You can ult and get kills. You can find people in the back line, easily just jump down and ult and get some kills. You're also easy to counter once you're doing it, as long as you're a little bit further away. So he's in this B tier. I think he's in this B tier. Player dependent, can be devastating. In the wrong hands, Garbo. In the right hands, horrible to fight. I'm gonna put him in B tier. Again, I think all of these heroes are player dependent, and I think all of their ults are player dependent. I mean, I'm even leaning Moon Knight more toward A the more I look at it, because of the potential with the Ankh. You can hit the Ankh with the ult, you're doing some serious damage. You know what? I'm gonna leave him here. I'm gonna leave him at B. I'm gonna leave him at B. Next up, we have Squirrel Girl ultimate. Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami. Summon a horde of squirrels to charge forward, dealing damage while bouncing off of structures. Oh, Squirrel Girl ult is a D. It's a D. Basically, you yell out Squirrel Stampede, and this very short line of squirrels runs whichever direction you're pointing. It does a bunch of damage. It bounces off of walls. It'll climb up boxes. But the squirrels never break off. They're not heat seeking. You can just step to the left, step to the right, avoid it altogether. And if you do it in open space and it passes you, you never have to worry about it. Squirrel needs some work. I wish the squirrels would like seek people out, try to do damage or whatever, or make the line longer, have a longer line of squirrels. It needs some work. The ult is very, very weak. The ult is very, very weak. Yeah, the ult is weak. Yeah, she needs some work. All right, next up we have Star-Lord. The ultimate is Galactic Legend. Engage in free flight and lock onto enemies in sight. This is one of the easiest ults to use in the game, if not the easiest ult in the game. It just gives you perfect auto aim, and you have this short amount of time where you just hold the fire button and you will get eliminations. Easily in the A tier. Easily in the A tier for Star-Lord. You fly around, you click a button. The only thing is you're vulnerable. So if you can be a little bit sneaky, kind of like Iron Man, if you can be a little bit sneaky, hug some walls, shout it out, and then instantly pop onto the scene and go for the healers first, you're going to be in a good spot. You're a little vulnerable up there, so if you just kind of float around in one spot, it is easy to take you if you're not paying attention to me directly. A couple flips, they'll save you. If a healer's paying attention, they'll make sure you stay alive during your ult, and you just fire as many rounds as you can before the timer runs out. Very easy to use. Star-Lord, instant A tier. Up next, we have Storm, Omega Hurricane. Transform into a hurricane, draw in nearby enemies, and deal damage. Storm's interesting. The Storm never gets played. Storm never gets played, but her ult sucks. It sucks to deal with. There's not much you can do against it. You kind of have to run. It does a lot of damage. You're not even targeting her. She's like in the tornado. You turn into this giant tornado hurricane with lightning and wind shooting out. Storm, I don't think Storm's that great of a hero, but her ultimate is good. It's better than these people, for sure. It might even be like low A tier, to be honest. I think her ult's really good. I just don't think Storm's very good. And when you launch it, you can start the storm wherever you are, wherever you want to go. It's kind of like Jeff's, where you do the ult, and then you have like this little period of time where you can actually line it up to exactly where you want it. She's the same. You don't just turn into the hurricane wherever you're floating. You hit it, and then you pick where you want to launch it. I would almost say because of that, and once you're in the storm, you just have to float over the enemies. There's no like player dependent. Storm's not an A, but her ult is very good. All right, next up we have the Punisher. The Punisher, his ultimate is Final Judgment. Unleash 2 Gatling guns and missiles to attack enemies. Basically, all this equipment unfolds around you. You become this walking mech, and you have all these guns and turrets, and you're just doing a ton of damage output. Problem is, you're vulnerable. If I'm behind the Punisher while he's doing the ults, I can get you. So you are vulnerable. Many times I've launched the ult and been killed. Stinks. I think Punisher is an A tier hero. His ult would probably have to be considered A as well then, because you can aim. You can't aim with Moon Knight. Like, you can aim with these guys, but they're just player dependent. With Punisher, you just have to aim. Just point it in the general direction. You're going to do a ton of damage output. You're going to melt people if they're not paying attention. You find a healer or someone who's overextended, you're going to melt them. I'd have to put it in A tier because of that. Next up, we have Thor. Thor's ultimate, God of Thunder. Soar upwards and smite the ground after charging for a duration, inflicting damage on enemies within range. Basically, you fly up into the air. There's a circle below you. You can float around, not far, but you can float around a little bit. Lightning is shooting into this circle, so you're doing damage. And then you dive down with your hammer and just dealing a bunch of damage below you. So you charge up, lightning hits some enemies, you dive down and do a bunch of damage. I think it's okay. I don't think it's that great. I think Thor is like a decent character. I just don't think he's that great of an ultimate. I get killed by Thor's ultimate a lot less than I do just Thor using every other ability. I don't think I can put it in A tier. You can't aim it as far as some of these. I think it probably lands in B tier. Probably like, I mean, if you hit, you crush, but you have to hit. You have to get people to not be spread out. Maybe like this. It's less vulnerable than these guys. People are going to be upset with the Magneto pick, but because you can absorb other ults, it's a great defensive weapon. So that's why he's good. Yeah, somewhere in there, somewhere in B. I'm just not afraid of it, you know? Next up, we have Black Widow, probably the least played character in all of Marvel Rivals. Electro Plasma Explosion. Switch to the Red Room Rifle to destruction mode and unleash an Electro Plasma Blast, damaging enemies within range and leaving plasma on the ground to slow nearby enemies. Black Widow, you stink. You stink. She goes in D. She goes in D tier because it stinks, and she stinks, and nobody really plays her. Oh, but yeah, but like I went 30-0 with her the other day. Cool, man. Cool, man. She stinks, which means that lobby stunk. I said it. No, she's just not a good character. She needs some work. Her ult is like you just switch guns, you zoom in, it launches. It's just this big area of effect explosion. It's like a grenade launcher type thing. And you do a bunch of damage and slow people within range. Problem is, if you need to get eyes on to a specific area, you're probably exposed to some level and you're just going to get destroyed anyway. So she's not good. Her ult's not good. She's not good. She needs some work. She probably won't get it. Gonna do. Next up, we have Venom with the nicest GAT in the game. Feast of the Abyss Ultimate. Burrow underground for free movement. After duration, or by left-clicking, devour enemies above to deal damage based on the enemy's current health and generate equivalent bonus health. Basically, you dive underground, find a group of enemies, you pop up, you take this big chomp, and you deal a % damage based on the enemy's health, and you also convert damage into bonus health for yourself. So it's kind of like a huge survival button. I'm not super scared by this ult. I'm more annoyed by his survivability. So I think Venom is just more annoying as a hero. The ability for him to keep himself alive for so long is annoying, which makes him like a B or an A tier character. I don't think his ult is like anything special. It's more defensive than offensive. I feel like his kit is stronger than his ult, you know? You do some damage, get some health, you stay alive. And that way it's like good for you, the player. It's not really, for me, it's like a C almost. Maybe he belongs here and Spider-Man's like down here, something like that. I don't die to the Venom ult very often. I just know that it keeps him going. A good Venom player using the ult correctly will keep you in the game longer. You become more oppressive. Venom in the wrong hands, like myself, is just... But I think because of that, to keep himself longer, I think maybe it's potentially better than the Spider-Man ult. All right, next up we have Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's ultimate is Kraken Impact. Leap high, then dash forward and slam down with the bionic arm, dealing damage to enemies within range, marking them for the culling. Marked enemies will perish instantly if their health falls below a certain threshold, recharging the bionic arm for another Kraken Impact within a short period. We've all heard it. He says again and again and another one and another one, and I'm still coming and I'm still gonna get you again and again and again. He jumps up, he slams down with his arm. Everybody who's in that slam has a health pool. If their health pool drops below a certain new line, like a new health bar, they die instantly and his ult recharges. This is an A tier ult. Might even be S tier. So you have to go, is it better than the Punishers? Is it better than Storms? I kind of think it's an S tier because it's an execute and you can just keep going as long, and you can do it off of Loki clones. If you didn't know this, you can Winter Soldier ult to kill a Loki clone to reset the ult. It's an S tier ult. It's an S tier ult, period. I don't think it's as player dependent as some of these. I really don't. It's a big area of effect. You jump in, you have a big red circle to aim at. You land in there, you get a hit or two. Your teammates can also shoot those people. I think it's an S tier ult. I think he's an A or S tier hero, honestly. All right, next up we have Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger's ultimate, Eternal Bond, perform 3 rapid dashes, healing allies and damaging enemies along the path. Basically, Cloak and Dagger starts spinning. You have 3 dashes, but you don't control the dashes. So once you press it, you're locked into those 3 dashes. It's gonna leave this purple goop. Maybe that's not right. It's gonna leave this purple smoke along the ground, and enemies standing in it take constant damage over time, and allies standing in it healing over time. So you could use it to engage a fight. You can use it to set up a temporary location to fight on. So let's say the enemies are dropping a bunch of ults at the same time, offensive ults. You drop it on the ground. Your team can fight in that purple smoke and get healed throughout the entire time. You can also stack those. You can just go along the same track 3 times and heal through everything. Her ult's not bad. Because it can damage and heal at the same time, I think that gives it a huge bonus. For enemies, it's easy to step off of this ult. For allies who are not paying attention, it's easy to not stand on this ult. I don't think this is a player dependent ult except for knowing when to use it. For strategists, often I will use ults as a counter to enemy ults. I kind of want to throw her like at the end of A tier because you can triple stack the dash, heal through anything, or do a bunch of damage. You yourself, you can engage fights, you can use it to escape. You can drop it and then immediately throw your healing bubble down and fight from it. Your entire team can fight, getting full heals. So I am going to put her in A tier. I kind of think it's better than Storm. I think Punisher's probably better than Storm. I think she's somewhere in here. Yeah, this is an instant kill. I'd probably put her like actually up here. This is just so strong. Probably like this. Maybe like this. Sorry, I just got caught up. Yeah, I think she's A tier. A lot of potential. Next up, we have Wolverine. Wolverine's ultimate last stand. Knock enemies ahead, airborne, spiral through the air, sweeping up enemies along the path, and delivering a devastating impact at that landing point. I'm gonna be honest, I don't play a lot of Wolverine. Not my style. I don't play a lot of dive characters. I would almost say I don't even have enough experience going against Wolverine's ultimate to really like know if I'm annoyed by it or not. This is definitely a player dependent character. You know, for me, it's probably going to be somewhere in this range, probably like this, something like that. Just I haven't seen it enough. And Iron Fist is so dependent. A lot of people don't know how to use him right. I think his ultimate is a little bit better because it resets all your abilities. This one's just easier to use. Yeah, I think Wolverine's somewhere in there, somewhere in B. I'll put him a little bit higher than Black Panther because of the potential to destroy tanks. Potentially easier to use than Black Panther. Again, I've not played a lot of them. I don't want to say for sure. I do think he lands in this B tier. Right hands, absolute menace. Wrong hands, total garbage. That's why I throw him in B. Next up, we have Captain America. His ultimate is Freedom Charge. Shield held high, carve path forward, granting both himself and allies along the path continuous bonus health and movement boosts, using Living Legend or Leading Dash while the ability of active can launch up enemies. I think this ult sucks. I do think this sucks because the path that he leaves behind, your teammates have to follow the path, which is almost never going to happen. So unless in a point and lines up that entire area with his path and everyone's just kind of fighting on that, it's just not that great. And like you're a super mobile tank, you're flying around the map. When you launch it, who's following you? Like, I'm not with you. I'm a strategist. I'm not with you. If I'm a DPS, I might be with you briefly, but you're fast. You're fast. It's almost like more survivability for himself. And this is going to be super player dependent. I'm putting him at C, honestly. I think he's somewhere in here. I don't think Captain America's ult is that good. So super player dependent. Depends on where your team's at. Great for survivability. I don't really fear it. Is what it is. Next up, we have Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange ultimate, Eye of Agamotto. Separate nearby enemy souls from their bodies. Damage dealt to these souls is transferred to their physical bodies. Doctor Strange is probably a top 5 hero in the game. Doctor Strange is top 2 tanks in the game. I would say his ultimate is probably an S tier ultimate. I would say it's better than that. I would say probably better than that. If it lands, I would say something like that. Probably like, yeah, his ultimate. Basically, if you hear Eye of Agamotto run, you're going to get your soul's going to pop out of your body and you can't do anything while this is happening. And your entire team can focus on those green models that shoot out of the back of your character and just completely burn you down. It takes no time at all. He captures even 2, maybe 3 people. They're just going to get beamed down. He can jump out of his own portal and hit people with this ult. It's a fantastic ult. It completely changes the fight. It's an S tier ult. Next up, we have Hawkeye. The ultimate is Hunter's Sight. Capture after images of enemies in his view. Damage dealt to an after image is transferred to the corresponding enemy. You activate this ult, and as the enemies move, you're going to see these frozen images. I think they're purple, of the enemy model. They're leaving tracers, essentially. The enemy's leaving tracers, and you can just damage those tracers to do damage to the main person. If they're running left behind a wall, you can just shoot at the tracers and still damage them as you would if you were shooting them directly. I think it's a decent ult. I think it's player dependent. Hawkeye is already a super strong character. So I think by default, if you're using Hawkeye and you're good, you're probably like good at the game. I would say he's, I would say like maybe the top of B tier, like that. Because player dependent, because the enemy, it just depends on what the enemy is doing as well. If you're going to be trying to chase these tracers around, it's somewhat dependent on where the enemy's going as well. So you have to know when to use it. Then you have to hit your shots. I mean, they're not moving, but I'd probably put him in B tier just because of his fire rate. But I mean, it might be an A tier actually, now that I think about it. Here's the other thing. I don't always know that it's happening to me. So I actually don't even know if you can turn around and see the after images or if it's just Hawkeye that can see them. So maybe I don't see them and I'm running around him like, why am I taking damage? I'll put that in A tier. I think I'm okay with that as an A tier ult. Bottom A tier, but solid. All right, Groot. All right, next up we have Groot. Groot's ultimate is Strangling Prison. Fire a massive vine cluster that pulls nearby enemies to its center and imprisons them. Groot's ult needs a couple of things. Basically, you launch a pile of vines that grabs people who are nearby, locks them, and deals damage over time. His ult combined with other ults is fantastic. So if you can lock a bunch of people in place, I mean, any oppressive offensive ult combined with Groot's ult is amazing. So you can lock everybody in place. Jeff the Land Shark can come eat them. You can even, I mean, Squirrel Girl, because they're all locked into a place. You can hit him with her ult. Any AoE ult. I mean, any offensive ult gets advantage with this because those enemies are locked into place, exposed, taking damage. His ult's nice. His ult is nice too because you can combo it off yourself. You throw it, you trap some people, you throw a wall behind those people, directly behind them. And every time they take damage inside your ult, your walls will also attack them. You could throw a wall down, then throw the ultimate down, have the same effect. So it's a nice combo off himself. But if people are paying attention, and if Groot falls out his ultimate, if people are paying attention, it can be super devastating. The only problem is like if they have a Luna Snow or if Cloak and Dagger drops a bubble on that area, you know, it can be countered in that sense. The thought process is you catch a couple stragglers or you drop a wall, they try to turn around, then you hit them with the ult, they can't get away, and you burn them super fast. It's not precision type thing, so you can't throw it super far. You kind of have to be close. It's not great, but it's not bad. I would almost put him in B, somewhere in here. Probably like that, maybe even high C. Because it does a lot of damage, and if your team is paying attention, you can get a lot of picks. The potential is really high. So I'm gonna put him above Rocket, something like that. All right, next up we have Hela, and Hela's ultimate is Goddess of Death. Soar into the sky and unleash Nastrand. Soar into the sky and unleash Nastrand crows. I don't know how to say that. Nastrond crows from each hand at will. Basically, you fly way up into the air and you shoot these giant missiles from your hand. One negative of Hela's ult is she's exposed. Your team can focus fire to kill her out of her ult, but when the ult is destroyed, that form, you don't die. So wherever you go up in the sky and they destroy the ult, you don't die if they shoot you out of the sky. You're exposed, but it's not like that much of a risk, right? So if you get in the wrong spot or they push, you still have a chance to escape out of it. Hela's looking at you while you're trying to shoot out of the sky. You're going to take a lot of damage. I think it's a really solid ult. Can't move around while you're doing it, but you can hit people around walls, behind cover. If they're exposed or out in the open, there's not much place for them to go. Tempted to put her in an S tier because people just scatter and there's no risk. Iron Man can die out of his ult. Star-Lord can die out of his ult. I'm almost considering putting her in it as an S tier ult. I'm not saying it's not easy to counter, but it's very easy to get picks. If you catch someone off by themselves, this is a great one to actually pair up Groot with. You go up in the sky, Groot throws the ult, you can just fire into that AoE. But Hela's ult, I would say, is an S tier ult because of the range, because it's easy to get picks, and you're not really in danger. Last up, we have Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. His ultimate Hulk smash, unleash stormed gamma energy, transforming from Hero Hulk into Monster Hulk for a limited time. Basically, you go crazy, you turn into an even bigger and scarier Hulk, and all of your powers are upgraded. You're doing a bunch of damage, you're scary, you're running around causing chaos, causing mayhem. What's nice about this ult is if you are the standard Hulk and you get super low health, you get burned, you're fighting and you get burned right up until the end, you can ult out of that soon to be death. You ult into Monster Hulk and it's basically like a second life. I don't play a lot of Hulk, I don't play a lot of dive characters, but it does essentially give you a second life, similar like what Venom does. Dude, honestly, I would give, oh man, this is gonna be tough. Because it's giving you basically a second life out of it, I almost want to throw him in B, because I don't have a whole lot of Hulk knowledge, but just based on that, I guess I don't fear Hulk running at me as Monster Hulk. Venom's is nice because you can target it anywhere and you go underground and you're safe while you're doing it. Thor's is just not. I'm almost putting Thor in C, bro. I think that's the way I'm gonna do it. Second life. I'm gonna put him here. So something like that. I think these heroes all have excellent ults. I think these heroes all have excellent ults. I think all of these ults have potential to be S tier ults when used correctly by the right people. I think everyone in B tier can have effective and A tier ults, and some might even squeak into S if they're used correctly. I think all of these ults are just okay, and I think these are bad. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's Ghost Stories Gaming, and I will catch you on the next video. Don't forget, season 1 of Marvel Rivals is coming out on the 10th, I believe, January 10th. So a couple days from now. Wanted to get this video out just before that, and I thought it might be an appropriate time to put out a video like this before the new season. This will obviously change as changes are made to the game itself. I hope you guys enjoyed season 0. We're going to be heading to season 1 at the end of the week, and I will see you guys in the arena.